Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about the emergency ban list that Bandai put out yesterday on a random Thursday of all things, but there has been a lot of controversy and discussion surrounding several cards that are, the wording is printed in such a way that they're able to be used in an unintended way. So Bandai is basically fixing that here, and yes, they did put it out on a random Thursday, but this is actually in effect for the DBS Fest. These new erratas actually go into place the day of this post going up, which was again yesterday, Thursday. So it's really important to know about this ASAP, which is why I'm doing the video covering it. If you guys are competing in the DBS Fest this weekend, make sure you stick around so you know how these cards now work, because again, goes into effect immediately. So with that being said, guys, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video, and if you guys want to help support the channel, many ways to do so down in the description. But anyways, let's get into their post. Additions to the banned limited errata card list. Greeting Dragon Ball Super card game fans, thank you for your continued support of the Dragon Ball Super card game as we kick off the 2022 organized play season. Based on recent event results and feedback, we are adding 8 cards to the errata list. So that's cool. I mean, you know, the fact that they go off event results and feedback is really nice. One of these seems like kind of unnecessary, but I guess we'll get to that when we get to the actual cards themselves. But yeah, the feedback is the number one thing here, guys. We definitely are able to get these things done, and it is important because, you know, if these cards were able to be used how they're printed, Bandai could have left them alone, but it's obvious that they had specific intentions for these cards, and wording needs to improve in order to get that point across. Now, it is tough because they're a Japanese team that creates the cards and effects, and they have to get them translated. So if they're not translated completely properly, that could be a big problem. But it seems like in this case, the conditions for activating these cards just weren't correctly specified, which I don't know if that's a translation thing or just Bandai needing to figure out wording. Like, look at Yu-Gi-Oh, guys. They only got problem-solving card text, what, like halfway into the game's lifespan? So for, you know, a rough amount of time, those cards were also tough to, you know, interpret rulings on. So I'm going to give Bandai a benefit of the doubt here for that kind of growing pain. But anyways, all right, so next up, the development team is evaluating further changes to clarify certain card text, but we want to release the following information to our players as soon as available to provide the best experience possible for this weekend's events around the world. Our official website will be updated with the full changes as soon as possible. Errata cards, only errata text listed. Okay, so unfortunately, I guess I can't show you guys a picture of the cards as I'm going through this, but we'll talk about what the cards do. So Hidden Power of the Sands, reasoning. The current text allows this card to be activated in unintended situations other than when a battle card is being played. And I think this card came out before unisons were even a thing, so this being worded incorrectly makes sense. So the new text basically says, if your leader card is green, you can activate this skill if your opponent announces they're playing a battle card. That's the new piece of text that's being added, and we're going to see a lot of these conditionals that basically say, if your opponent is playing X, you can activate this card. I don't know if they should have worded it more so like a cost, but I mean, you know, adding this conditional is perfectly fine. It gets the point across here. So your opponent can either place a battle card in the drop or pitch 2 cards. So the problem with this card was it seemed as though you could use this counterplay in response to a unison. And since a battle card's not being played, your opponent is just forced to discard 2 cards. They don't really have a choice in the matter, so they're fixing that there. Ultrasonic Exchange, which is a red counterplay for 2 energy. So again, this makes sense. They're adding this conditional. The one thing that just comes to mind, we'll read it real quick. So you can activate the skill if your opponent announces they're playing a battle card with 20,000 power or less. Your opponent may place that battle card in the drop instead of playing it. If they don't, they choose one of their battle cards and place it in the owner's drop. So does this change anything about how this interacts with deflect battle cards? I would assume not. So I guess the way I would interpret it is you can't activate it, period, unless the battle card is 20k or less. If that battle card has 20k or less and deflect, your opponent's not able to put it in the drop, so you probably get the second part of the effect. I'm assuming that's how it would work. But again, if any judges watching this video, correct me down in the comments. But I do think that a lot of players are going to get tripped up on that, how this is going to interact with deflect. You should just be able to resolve the part of the effect that, you know, resolves if your opponent doesn't do the first part of the effect, if that makes sense. Anyways, moving on to the next one, pretty spicy. We have Full Power Frieza 100% Overdrive. Reasoning. This card has previously enabled a powerful milling strategy when combined with Android 21 Scheme, but additions to the overall card pool threaten to make this more prominent in the metagame than anticipated. So yeah, this wasn't a super recent thing. This deck's been around for quite some time, but I guess for whatever reason now Bandai has decided to do something about it, and I guess it makes sense because now this deck has access to a counter. So before, where most decks, or some decks I guess, could counterplay this whole combo, now they do have access to a pretty reliable counter to stop that in the form of Golden Avenger Baby. So they wanted to stop it. So now basically Frieza can only give minus 30k to non-token battle cards. So you're not going to be able to load your opponent up with tokens via the 21 scheme and mill them out that way. Great change in my opinion. Probably should have been done a long time ago if we're being honest, but it's fine, they're doing it now. Anyways, Tree of Might. This one, I believe, caused a lot of controversy in the Latin American DBS Fest. So, errata issued in order for this card to work as properly intended. Post errata text, permanent. While in a battle area, this card can't be placed in drop areas by your skills. Reduce combo cost of all Trailers Crusher core cards in your opponent's hand by 1. And again, keep in mind, you're giving this card to your opponent. That's why it might read a little awkwardly. Auto, if all your opponent's energy is mono green. If this card is in your battle area at the start of your main phase, choose one face down card in your life and flip it face up. I believe this is the new line of text here. Before, it was worded in such a way that your opponent could just choose a face up life and then not flip it. But now this is specifying your opponent has to choose a face down life, and there's no up to. So now there should be no, difference about this card. There should be no discussion that you have to choose a face down card, flip it up, and then your opponent gets to add a fruit to their hand. Next up, we have Power Beyond Super Saiyan 2 Reasoning. The current text allows this card to be activated in unintended situations other than when a Unison card is being played. Post or add text counterplay. You can activate the skill if your opponent announces they're playing a Unison card. If your opponent may remove a marker from the Unison card played. If they don't, choose one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So yeah, the problem with this card was you could use it in response to anything that wasn't the Unison, and then they would just have to KO a battle card for 1 energy. That was honestly, that could have been pretty powerful, I think. So that's a good thing they changed it here. Ultimate Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. Here is the kicker. This is the card that everyone was worried about because, in essence, this could have been a Flying Nimbus, a much better Flying Nimbus, actually, if it was allowed to be ruled the way it was. So, counterplay. You could activate this skill if your opponent announces they're playing a Unison card. That is the new line of text, basically adding that conditional. They may either remove a marker from the Unison card for every 2 cards in their drop area and warp, or place it in their drop instead of playing it. If they don't, your opponent can only attack 1 more time for the turn. So previously how it was worded, this highlighted piece of text here was not part of it. So you could counterplay a battle card, and since they had no option to do X, Y, or Z to their Unison, they would only get to attack 1 more time in a turn, which could have been a very powerful card, and they are addressing this for the DBS Fest. Majin Buu Tricky Nemesis. This is one of the promos I think that's coming out with the new regional season in play. So permanent affiliate cards are green Majin Buu. This card's also treated as mono green while in the deck and drop area. Activate main for 3 if your card is green or black. Majin card and you have 4 or more energy. Play up to 1 green or black Majin card with energy cost of 5 or 6 from your hand. To be completely honest with you guys, I don't even know what they changed on the text here. I mean, I could go to the card here, but it's not going to let me, compare the text at the same time. So if there's a green Majin Buu, this card's green while in your deck and drop area. If there's a green black Majin Buu, 4 more energy, play up to 1 green blue. Yeah, honestly, I can't tell just from looking at the 2 separately what the change is, but just know that what this text says in the post, that is the new text you're going to have to go by if you want to play this card. Luckily, this shouldn't impact the meta too much because it's a pretty rogue type of, legacy support, so that's not bad. But anyways, we will continue doing everything we can to deliver a game that appeals to Dragon Ball fans and card game fans alike. Thank you for your continued support. So yeah, effective immediately in all regions as of this post. So it's very, very important that you guys were able to get this information, which is, again, why I wanted to do a video, just in case you guys weren't able to see it, wanted to bring some attention to it. And then they have pictures of all the cards here. Of course, if you guys want to read what's going on here, all you have to do is go to Facebook, Dragon Ball Super Card Game. Their official Facebook page has all this information. I just thought it was worth talking about. Now, what's funny is none of these cards actually had their time to impact the meta because people were figuring out these, I guess, ruling loopholes before any of these cards actually saw play or any popularity in the meta. I guess except for the Full Power Frieza. That was a popular deck for a while. But yeah, this is a good thing because it shouldn't be a huge meta thrash. Just the main thing that's being eliminated from the meta, I guess, is going to be Frieza Mill, Android 21 Mill, or Android 18 Mill. And then Turles technically gets a bit of a buff, I guess, so that's cool. But anyways, hope you guys are just aware of this information. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.